All right. We're rolling everywhere, it looks like.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Kickin' Show, the official podcast of Kicking the Tires. It's our 23rd episode, I believe, and we are live. So God help us all, because if anybody can screw it up, I can. Got Justin Schuler running the board and making sure everything goes off okay tonight. Matt Corson and Christian Coley, the two Amazon junkies down at the bottom, they got the night off, so they decided to sit in. And Seth Eggert up in the top. How you doing tonight, Seth?
Doing well.
Good for you. Glad to have you here. Glad you're doing good. We've got a pretty full show. Christian's got us a special guest tonight. I'll let him introduce that in just a second. We've got IMSA news, iRacing news, Ty Dillon news. I've got a little bit of news on what's been going on with the interviews that NASCAR's been running all week. And Justin should have something, if he doesn't, on Jet taking a face plant last night in the Supercross race. I hope he's okay. He looked a little shaken up when he got up off the dirt there in Indianapolis. So, yep. Christian, I'm going to kick it to you. Tell us a little bit about ARCA, and then tell us who's the special guest you're bringing on the show.
This weekend, or not really this weekend, this coming week, we have the ARCA East Series kicking off Speed Week per se. And we have them kicking off the season at New Smyrna Speedway, and they'll be running their 175, which would be sponsored by Jeep Beach. Don't really know what it is. I haven't really looked too much into it. But it'll be the Jeep Beach 175 at New Smyrna Speedway, and it's basically going to kick off the season for a NASCAR period, because it'll be the first event under the NASCAR moniker to hit the track. So, it kind of kicks off Speed Weeks. It normally is in between the Clash and the 500, and that's normally where it sits. But this year, with them shifting the schedule and everything, it's kind of it's starting the season. So we have a pretty good chunk of drivers that are going to be entered this weekend, including our guest tonight. We have people like Carson Quaffle will be making his debut this weekend behind the stock car in ARCA. We have Mason Diaz making the move to Visconti Motorsports. We have our guest tonight, Daniel Dye. We have Willie Mullins, who's going to, I believe, just try to shake off the dust of not being in an ARCA car since last year at Kentucky. And we got the new, as announced today, we have the new driver for Diversity driver, Rajah Caruth, behind a Rev Racing car after Nick Sanchez moves up to the ARCA Menard Series. And we got Taylor Gray also going to be running for the full season this year. So we've got a stout lineup for Monday night's event. And, if you're in the New Smyrna area, of course, with this whole COVID thing, nobody's really been able to be in attendance. But this weekend, Monday, they will have fans in attendance, and if you want to go buy tickets to go see the race, there's a link on our preview on our website, and you can simply go on there. It's $35 just for 4 events, and I don't think you can really beat that. And if you're not able to make it down there, the race will be on Track Pass on the NBC Sports Gold app, and it'll also be delayed on NBCSN at some point. I'm not really sure what date. But no, we're really looking forward to kicking off the entire NASCAR season with ARCA, especially being the kind of headliner technically to start off the season. And but our guest tonight, we have Daniel Dye, who is from DeLand, Florida. We have him racing full-time this year for Ben Kennedy Racing. Yeah, Ben Kennedy is that one guy that won at Bristol that 1 year in the Truck Series, and since has really taken a leadership role in the Truck Series. So yeah, he's going to be driving this weekend in the number 43 car, sponsored by the Halifax Health Race to Stop Suicides. So we're really looking forward to talking to him about the Halifax Race to Stop Suicides and his upcoming event that he's got coming.
And in fact, Daniel's just now tuned in. So Daniel, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking some time out of your evening to join us. And I'm sure you're just as excited as all the millions of NASCAR fans to get back into some racing action here.
Oh yeah, for sure. We really haven't been off all that much. Our off season's kind of really like 3 weeks in between. This is probably our biggest break of the year. We just ran New Smyrna, kind of get ready for Speed Weeks the first weekend in January, and since then we haven't raced. So it's only about a month is our off season, and but I've been just as ready to go as everybody else.
As Jerry mentioned, we are live, so if anyone out there does have questions, feel free to type in the chat box. We'll get to your question as soon as we can. But Christian, I think you had a couple questions for Daniel as well.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to talk over about a little bit of the being one of the only full-time drivers in the ARCA East Series this year. You're going to be facing off against Mason Diaz and uh, John Wood, some guys that we're not really familiar with per se. That's kind of popped in the picture. With the East schedule kind of getting pushed aside last year, we only had like 6 races last year. With the minimum schedule we really had, what was the honest? How's it going to be to get dust kind of off of being in an ARCA car since nobody's really been in an East car very much, per se, on the fact that we didn't really have a full season last year.
Yeah. So obviously there's a few full-time guys that do it a little bit. Mason ran with Venerini a good bit last year. Jack ran out west with his family team. Is getting into some good equipment. Raja, I don't know if he's full-time or not, but, he'll be at the first 2 races as far as I know. He runs those late model stocks, kind of similar as far as what I've heard. Man, who else is going full-time? I don't know. I don't think
Sammy Smith over at Joe Gibbs.
He'll be running 6 races this year.
So he'll be pretty good. Obviously in a Joe Gibbs car, going to be tough to beat. Taylor obviously ran all last year. West, East, big ARCA showdown. So he'll be a car to beat for sure. I think it's going to be pretty good for us. Starting the season off at 2 of our home tracks. My 2 home tracks are New Smyrna and Pensacola. I live 15 minutes down the road from New Smyrna Speedway. So we went and tested a little bit last week, did pretty good. You could test and say you were this good, but you don't really know till the race. So I think we're honestly going to have a good piece, though. I learned a lot about how those guys race during the last race, the championship race in Pensacola. I wasn't expecting it. Cabry kind of gave me a little bit of a warning. We went to breakfast that morning of the race, and he said, you're probably going to be in a little bit for a surprise on how these guys race. And sure enough, it was a little bit of a shock. I was like, what's going on? But it was fun. I think it was good to go run that race and learn how those guys run before we get on the racetrack full time this year. Going to be going to some new places, but I think it's going to be good to start out racing with these guys at 2 places I'm really familiar with, and kind of get a little bit of ARCA experience before we start going off to different places.
How is your relationship, real quick? How's your relationship with Caber? He seems like a really good guy.
Yeah, he's really cool. Actually, our relationship started. I don't even think I was big car racing yet, and I'm pretty goofy. You could probably tell a little bit from me being upbeat now, but we were racing the Chili Bowl on iRacing, a huge lobby, and I commentated for fun like the G main down to like the B or the C main until I got kicked for being annoying. I was like 13 or 14 when I did this, and he posted on Twitter and he followed me on some stuff, and I was like, no way, like a K&N driver's following me, and then now we're here. It's cool. We went to breakfast at Panera, actually, like the morning of the ARC race in Pensacola, and hung out for a good little bit. And I'm excited. You ask about Chase and that relationship. Like the ARCA East class this year, as far as people that are racing, it's cool. Like I've ran late models with Sammy. Me and Taylor are buddies. Me and Mason, we've ran late models together. Me and Roger are good friends. I think the little group is going to be cool. I think there's going to be a lot of respect and a lot of fun racing this year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent. Yeah. And don't worry, I get kicked out of iRacing events for the way I drive. apparently, they require you to drive better than I do to, or at least, not have someone complain about your driving. So, but no, glad to have you on the show. We appreciate it. And, this is going to be an interesting season. I assigned Christian to cover the ARCA series, and he definitely knows what's going on over there. So you'll have a reporter, a go-to reporter to talk to throughout the season as well.
Yep.
Good deal. Looking forward to it.
I have one question for you, Daniel. So you're 17 years old. You're a junior at, I believe, what is it, Father Lopez Catholic High School in Daytona Beach. How do you balance school and full-time racing? Because, I mean, before we usually hear about some of these kids who are still in high school doing part-time racing. Here you are doing it full-time and going to school. So how do you kind of balance the two out?
Yeah, the toughest part, like the toughest time, is actually going to start tomorrow. That's the first night of like speed weeks. We practice tomorrow. I'll go to school for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I will I'll go to the racetrack, and I'll do that every day, every weekday, for starting tomorrow all the way through next week. So that part is tough. Luckily, my classes at the end of the day now aren't as bad as they were before. I have a few easy classes minus I have world history honors or U.S. history honors last period. So I'm missing kind of an important class last period, but you know, it does get tough sometimes, especially when you like miss a Thursday, Friday. Like if you're racing a Friday show and open practice is Thursday, like say for a late model race, that kind of sucks because you miss a test at the end of the week. But my dad stays on me about it. Definitely stays on me about it. And I'm getting better at it. I'm figuring out a little bit better than I did before. Probably a little late in the run now that I'm a junior, but we're making some progress on the whole school thing.
Another quick question for me: what was your you talked about racing big cars? What was your experience in the micro sprints or sprint cars or midgets or what? How did you come up through the ranks exactly?
So I ran quarter midgets. I started when I was 8. Actually, I keep looking past the camera. I have a lot of quarter midget trophies right there in a quarter midget suit. I started when I was 8 and I ran up until November of 2018 was my last quarter midget race. And I won a ton of races. It took me a minute to figure them out, but we won well over 140 races. We probably pushing 200. We won a lot of races. Had a lot of fun, traveled cool places. We ran the USAC National Tour the last year that I ran, and we led 38 out of 40 laps in the first national race at Daytona, only for this girl that I had like a little rivalry with at our local track was second. And I got taken out on the last restart. My best friend spun by himself, and he was like so apologetic after the race. It was kind of funny once I calmed down, but led the whole race and then got wrecked. Still finished 5th or 6th or whatever, but I didn't win. And then we went and won the national race in Texas. Did kind of the same thing when we went to Phoenix. We kind of followed the IndyCar schedule a little bit.
Was that when they were racing at COTA and like they did it in the parking lot at Daytona and then they did quarters at? Okay, I was at both of those races actually. I was at both of those.
I did that. That one was in 2018 is when I ran. So and I ran 3 different classes. So I won in Texas. Should have won in Phoenix again, kind of the same deal at Daytona. Should have won Daytona. Finished second to my best friend that spun out in Pocono. And then Indy was kind of just like, eh. But ran a lot at New Smyrna. There's a little track on the inside of New Smyrna Speedway that actually my dad built that track before I was even an idea. Him and Mark Martin kind of partnered on it together. Mark's son, Matt, they didn't want to travel to further away than they needed to. Mark living in the fly-in, wanted to have a place for Matt to run. And then here comes along little Daniel eventually comes into the picture and Dad takes me out there to see if I like it. And I did. So he got me a car and we started racing when I was 8. So had a lot of fun doing that. And then started the late model deal. My first real race was January of 2019.
Excellent. We sponsor a kid that's in micro sprints right now. He does dirt. He's went to a shootout in Tulsa and ran all the way up to finishing. I mean, came in 19th in the main. So and he's got way subpar equipment, and we're trying to get a team deal. I'm talking to a couple of different teams, Keith Kuhn, a couple others involved as well. It's a big financial commitment for him, but still, it's always, after watching him and being involved in his career, it's interesting to me to see young guys like yourself and how they've progressed through the ranks. So, congratulations on all the wins for sure. Matt, Seth, you guys got something to add?
I actually do. I'm curious. You're driving for Ben Kennedy. Do you ever feel any added pressure, or maybe are you ever intimidated by having him as a team owner, since he is the head of NASCAR, or one of the heads of NASCAR?
Not really. Like, I think in the beginning of my racing, I probably did, but what a lot of people that don't know Ben, like what a lot of people that don't know about Ben, because they don't know Ben, is he's like one of the chillest dudes in the world. Like I texted him before the Derby, actually. And so my spotter, Jimmy Kitchens, he ran Busch for a while in ARCA and trucks, and spotted for anybody you can think of, Clint Boyer Jr., a good bit of people throughout his time spotting. He spotted for Ben when Ben started running trucks and works for Ben now. He talks about Ben and the stuff, and he told me that Ben's like a health nerd. So I texted him before the Derby. I was like, "Hey, Jimmy says you're a health nerd. What am I supposed to eat tonight?" He's like, blah, 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 blah. He gives me like a whole journal entry about it, and he's really cool. I in the beginning it was a little bit of pressure because I didn't really know him, but now I could text him, say, "Hey, you want to mess around on iRacing?" And he'd say, "Heck yeah," and we'd do it and just mess around. So he's been a big help. He was good at Pensacola when he ran. Took him to school in the K&N race back a few years ago at Pensacola. So he taught me a lot about that track before I went there. With him being high up in NASCAR, it's a little pressure kind of away from the racetrack. You want to try and not make, stupid mistakes that are going to make him look bad. As far as personal stuff goes, don't want to say anything or do anything bad. But I think that's good for me being a young person. Kind of keeps me in check a little bit more than it probably would otherwise.
I would like to point out that you just said that probably the best quote I've ever heard about Ben Kennedy, who is the future head of NASCAR. He wrote you a letter.
Yeah, I could probably. Let's see. It was a lot.
It's okay. You don't have to tell us. I don't want to. I still need a hard card. Okay, so.
I just want to find this text. It was he. It takes up more than my whole screen. Like you can. That's what I should have ate that night. I was like,
okay.
I just wanted like a simple little like this or this.
Hey, am I supposed to make 2 Hot Pockets and a salad? Or
Look, okay, and I'd like to point out that not only do you drive for him, but you actually have a cell phone. I don't think I've got a lot of cell phones in my Rolodex. I don't have Ben Kennedy's cell phone, so props to you for going deep there. But, Matt, you got something? I know we have a question for Daniel from a viewer. I don't know if we found it yet, but Matt, do you have something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask Daniel. I know you've mentioned Mark Martin with your dad, and Ben Kennedy used to drive, but is there a current driver now or recently retired, because we just had a lot of great ones leave the sport, but is there one now that you look up to or look to as like a mentor, or even one that you go to for advice now?
So there's a few different people. I think the way that Jimmy Johnson carries himself away from the racetrack and make sure that he's talking about the people that made his career what it is and still do to this day. I think the way that he makes sure that people know he's thankful, and just how he carries himself away from the racetrack, I think is something I really look up to. Kyle Busch, the way he drives, like there's a lot of people that don't like Kyle Busch. I'm a Kyle Busch fan. I've raced against him I guess, twice. I beat him one time, and he beat me in the Derby. But that racing
He
against
complained
Kyle,
about me, by the way.
Say it again.
He complained about me. He got me kicked out. of racing.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's the one that got me thrown off of iRacing.
oh man.
Well,
And then I
that
just
one.
quit.
Well, just the Monday Night League, but
Yeah, just the Monday night.
I'm
league, not all
trying.
of iRacing.
I'm trying.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you into some other leagues. I'm trying.
I suck so bad they won't even let me in, Daniel.
Oh,
Now here's a question: you have Ben Kennedy's cell phone number. Do you have his cell phone number, or?
I don't. But I was telling you about Kevin that I was in the car with before I joined joined again on my computer. Kevin has all kinds of cool people's phone numbers. Like he's got Jimmy Johnson's phone number. I'm like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm in a iRace with so and so, and it'll like take a screenshot of the contact and I'm like, okay, sorry, you're all went all big time on me. He's got a lot of cool people.
Yeah,
Awesome.
now you know how the rest of us feel around Jerry, where we're like, oh, it'd be so cool to get X, Y, and Z person on the podcast. Oh, let me just text him real quick.
Have you found the question yet? Justin?
No, I don't have any. Chris Snyder has spammed our chat with hi and Jerry.
Well, apparently he has a question, but he also has Jimmy Johnson's cell phone number. So, and Dale Jr.'s, and God only knows who else is. But I've sent him a text because he told me he had a question for Daniel. I don't know what he's going to ask you, Daniel, but Chris Knight's out there watching. So shout out to Chris Knight from Catch Fence. And do you know Chris?
I do. Yeah, we've talked a good little bit.
Chris Snyder has everybody's cell phone because he literally spends about 10 hours of his Christmas day texting everybody Merry Christmas texts.
Yeah, I got one. I felt pretty special.
Yep. If you got one, you are on Snyder's nice list.
So Matt, to kind of come back to your question and finish it off, when I first started racing big cars, Anthony Sergi was racing for Ben Kennedy Racing, and I went out there with my spotter Jimmy, and I went up on the spotter stand, and Jimmy was a big help. Jimmy's like, watch the way Anthony puts on his seatbelts, watch the way he plugs in his radio, like just watch everything Anthony does throughout the weekend, and even now I race against him. He's still a big help to me, and he was early. We've done a lot of iRacing. We've played chess at 4 a.m. We're good buddies. But he helped me a lot when I got started, which was really cool. And probably helped me now to be where I am today. I've had a lot of good people that have surrounded me, including my dad and Jimmy, who ran a lot, and people like Ben and stuff like that. So I've had very smart people around me that have helped me a good bit. And then, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you've had a lot of great people in your circle, so I appreciate you answering my question. Thank you.
All right. I don't think we've gotten a question from Ryder. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions.
Well, I'd like for Daniel to stick around if he can, or if he can't, I totally get it. We appreciate you being on the show. And if you want to stick around and weigh in on stuff, feel free. I think we're going to jump over to Seth with some iRacing news right now. So that kind of leads into some of the stuff that you've that you know a little bit about. Seth, go ahead.
Well, as a transition, Daniel, just curious, do you run any leagues, or is there a specific series on iRacing that you like to run?
I really don't. I'll go on there and just run whatever for fun. Today, before I went to dinner, I ran C-Fix trucks at USA and ran second or third every lap until the white flag. I got the lead and won it, so I was pretty happy about that. I am going to follow the Coke series a lot more this year. My buddy Jake Matheson is going to be running for Williams. He finished third in the Clash. I guess that was last night? So
Monday night.
Monday night. So heck yeah, that's going to be. I definitely think a guy to watch. He races a little bit in real life. I guess Midwest kind of. So yeah, I think he's going to be one to watch. And I'm going to follow, as far as Coke Series goes, a lot closer now that I know somebody running, and especially being a buddy of mine.
Okay, so I have the question. I have the question from Nider.
Okay.
Okay. Can't make him wait because he got to go to. He'll turn into a pumpkin if he stays up too late. So it's been since October since you've been in an ARCA East car. Chris wants to know how hard is it going to be to jump back in the car at New Smyrna with a limited experience there.
It's gonna not be very fun after running a car that's 600 pounds lighter, and it's a lot quicker for 4 nights before then. But now this year we got some new stuff, and it's definitely a little more fun to drive than it was last year. It's definitely a change, but luckily I kind of found myself getting after it pretty good when we tested last week. I think it's going to be good. A lot of that was spent on just me getting ready as far as getting the feel back in my mind and in my body about the car. So after running a super 4 nights before, or 3 or 4 nights before the ARCA race, that's not going to be fun coming from a light, quick car to a big old boat. But those cars are really fun to race. At Pensacola, there was a lot of bumping, and everybody did it. And that part was fun. I wasn't expecting it, but I hope it's not that bad here. But they're definitely fun cars to race, and I think the respect level is going to be a little bit better this year than it was at the Pensacola race. But it's definitely a transition. You just gotta kind of chill a lot more. You're always getting after in a super. I think the ARCA car, you got to be a little more disciplined and just calm down.
And Nider is taking a page from our friend Wolfgang Munster from Rennsport Press Agency in Germany, who I talked to today. He has 2 questions. He has a follow-up. What's the best advice Ben Kennedy has given you as a driver to prepare you for your future?
Let's see. As the driving part, he, like I say, he taught me a lot about Pensacola, which has helped me. It's a cheese grater track. And that's helped us do better and have an easy foot there. As far as away from the racetrack, I would actually swerve it being about Ben. I would take it and I'd put it on Jimmy. Jimmy was there for Ben as a kid. He told me about Ben falling on his bike, and Ben called Jimmy, and Jimmy came and saved the day. And I actually did the same thing with Jimmy when I fell on my skateboard last year, and he got me all fixed up. Jimmy was there a lot for Ben, and Jimmy's there a lot for me now. And he's the one that's really on me about making sure I'm doing the right thing when we go out to eat, and, just trying to be as respectful as I can at all times. But he's also a fun dude, and we can go mess around and stuff. So I'd say you can connect Jimmy Kitchens and Ben with that question. And Jimmy's taught me a lot about being a race car driver too, but as well as being a respectful young man away from the racetrack.
Excellent. Thank you.
Now, going back to the Coke Series, you mentioned Jake Matheson, who finished 3rd. He finished 3rd to the 2 Williams Esports drivers in the clash. Logan Clampett won by 13 thousandths of a second over defending champion Nick Ottinger. But Matheson's one of several drivers running on iRacing in the Coke Series that do race in real life. Ryan Luza is another one that comes to mind. He runs late models. Garrett Maines runs legend cars. And speaking of Germany, Jerry, Mitchell DeYoung, while the Coke Series race was going on at 9:10, or at that point 10:10 Eastern time, it was 4:10 a.m. where Mitchell DeYoung was racing in the Coke Series in Germany.
iRacing makes the world a small place.
Yeah. Yes, it does. And for the FTF League, Michael Frisch won the FTF 500. I once again was looking like I would avoid the big one and get into a transfer spot in the C-Main, and someone behind me decided not to use the brakes.
It happens,
Yeah.
I noticed something with the FTF. Our name popped up today for some reason. Is one of the 20,000 races that we're sponsoring coming up or something?
Yes, next weekend, the Grand National Series race we're sponsoring at New Smyrna. will be running, and we do have a sponsor provisional in the race. So,
dang, you need a race. We can put you in because they don't want me. They don't want me. I promise you, they don't want me.
Yeah, it would either be me or someone we choose.
I guess that gives me an excuse to have to put my rig back together.
Hey, it's a guaranteed spot.
Yeah, I'm only allowed to race in super speedway races and IndyCar events, and I can't race.
They will have. They will have a third league coming up, which is Saturday Night Super Speedway League, except on Fridays. I'm not the one who comes up with the names, but they're so-called iRacing style events in which they're all full throttle races, basically super speedway style races. So Jerry, that would probably be something up your alley.
Hey, I'll be interested in it for sure. Maybe maybe I can take some tips from Daniel, because I need somebody to give me some advice on what I'm doing wrong. I mean, seriously, I'm sitting in my sim. My radio and podcast unit is all part of my sim, the lighting, everything. I'm set up to go Twitch, you name it. Well, I just don't have the talent.
Well, to be fair, last week you got a little advice from Ryan Vargas. Now you might get a little advice from Daniel.
Yeah. You probably don't want any iRacing advice from me. That's probably not the way to go.
So I'm totally on point with the backdrop from Las Vegas from Jimmy Johnson's last championship, 2016. The last sprint banner that they had before Monster became the sponsor. I put this as a carry-on, and on my flight back from Vegas that year after the championships. I got all the trophies and all this swag from the races, and I got the look going on. I just don't have the talent.
It'd be a heck of a stream background for sure. Mine is like my rig is, I got one monitor on my desk on top of a middle school history book. I got another one on an actual monitor stand, and then my third one is on a table tray with about, like, I got probably, what is that? Like probably 7 books on each side stacked up, and I got like 2 big ones on top, so they're all level.
Nice.
The whole thing is wobbly. There's nothing too professional about that deal over there, and then the talent level is probably about as sketchy as the rig itself.
Your rig definitely sounds a little bit like mine. I just have a computer desk that the wheels clamp to, and I only have one monitor, and it's propped up on a shoe stand, so that way it's at least above the wheel. It can get a little wobbly.
A garage door.
Yeah.
Justin has a garage door. That's his desk.
I actually do. I bought 2 garage doors and then got flanges with some steel pipes and used those as the legs, and I have one garage door sitting right here at my main computer, and then one garage door sitting right there at my streaming computer. So I'm pretty much set.
I'd like to point out that he lives in California, and they're a little weird out there. So,
yep. Yep.
Any other iRacing news that we need to get to before we talk about some other stuff, Seth?
This week, no, although this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the Podium 500. Friday is qualifying, Saturday is the heats, the LCQs, and duels. Sunday is the main race. I will be attempting to qualify for this. Law of Averages says I have to make something, so watch this be the one I qualify for.
Hey, we'll take whatever we can get as long as it's got kicking the tires on the side of the car.
Otherwise, the Coke Series is back in action Monday night because the real life clash is Tuesday night.
Okay, what happened to that other Monday night league? Are they done? Are they finally over?
No, their playoffs start Monday at 8. They're actually going up against the Coke Series.
Good luck with that.
That's a good. Well, this past week they actually beat them on Twitch in numbers by about 100 viewers somehow.
Wow.
But Anthony Alfredo won the All-Star race, winning the $300, which he put towards Dogecoin.
Good for him, because right now, I can tell you, Dogecoin is currently trading at 0.03918 cents, and I have 35,000 Dogecoins.
Oh
So
my gosh.
last week at this time when we did the show, I had 55, and then I sold them while we were on the show, and then I made.
And then they went up a little bit.
And then it went up, and it made me
and then
sick.
it went back down.
And then it went back down. Yeah.
So you
and now it's
sold
going back up again.
Did you sell all 55,000 when it went way up, or you just sold it?
Yeah, sold all 55,000 when it went up, and then bought back in. But I bought back in higher than where it's at right now, so I kind of need it to get. I'm still up, but I kind of need it to get back up a little bit.
If you bought it early, y'all better start complaining. Y'all are gonna have a whole studio here before long.
They also know that I'm down like 50 grand for last year for running kicking the tires. So luckily they're understanding. Their checks are in the mail.
You got back on the green a little bit thanks to the little Doge, didn't you?
I not too bad, a few bucks. So if my goal is to become a cryptocurrency billionaire, and then all we'll do is we'll have people riding and traveling to racetracks every week.
Wasn't it?
Might as well be on a race car if it gets to that point.
We can work something out.
Wasn't it 2014 when Dogecoin hit Josh Wise's car or something like
that?
Yeah.
Thanks to Reddit, it was 2014. It was on Josh Wise's car, and I remember I was actually there as a fan for the All-Star race, and they're getting ready to announce who's coming out as the most popular or the fan vote driver in that sense. And everyone around me thought it was going to be Danica, and I'm just sitting there like, y'all know what's going on Reddit right now?
Yeah,
they announced Josh Wise, and everyone around me was just stunned.
I need the people on Reddit to get behind one of my other stocks and send it skyrocketing. Okay, I've got another stock called Vine, VYNE, and if the guys on Reddit want to get behind that stock, I bought it really, really cheap, and I'll give everybody on the show a bonus tonight.
Hey, if any Redditor is watching this right now, hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, hint, wink, wink. Do it without Robin Hood finding out about it. How about that?
Daniel's just sitting there like, I'll take a bonus. Awesome.
Well, we did. I'm going to move on to we had the IMSA race this weekend. Jimmy Johnson's team came in second in the DPI class overall. Man, they were pushing it too. It was a great battle all throughout the 24 hours. And but Ricky Taylor and his group with Elio and everybody that was with them, they pulled it off. They even admitted that they weren't sure that they could pull it off. So it was a great. I mean, I was there for pretty much the whole race. I stayed all night, froze to death. If you follow my Twitter, by the way, after I tweeted about don't mess with the air conditioner, apparently someone saw it because they quit messing with the air conditioner because they kept turning it back on, and I kept getting colder, and I was about to die in the press box. So apparently they saw it, so it worked. I probably will have parking on the other side of the street when I get back this week. But I do want to give a shout out, no matter what else happened in IMSA race with the Rolex 24 this past weekend at Daytona. I want to give a shout out to Rick Ware Racing, Cody Ware, Austin Dillon, and those guys that were on that team. A lot of people don't know this, and deepest condolences going out to Cody's family. His grandmother passed away 30 minutes before he took the wheel to go out to the race. His mom ended up having to leave, and she left the track. Didn't get to see Cody finish the race, which he drove double stints several times and was in the car a lot. He actually had the fastest laps of any of the drivers that were in the car, I think by a 1/10 of a second. So Cody's a really good guy. I interviewed him last night. I'm going to have a little story coming out about him and about their run there. Came in fourth. I think there were 3 laps down to the podium finisher, the 82 team, and the 82 car was having problems. They were smoking. They were having some issues, and there was talk that they might go out of the race, and that would have put Rick Ware Racing's team with with Eurasia, I believe is the other partner in that ownership. That would have put them on the podium. And if anybody followed my Twitter this past week, there's a certain Yahoo sports writer named Nick Bromberg who is just a total jerk when it comes to the way he not only covers the sport, but the way he treats people in the sport. And I really wish he would, take a happy pill or something, because I had to fire back. Look, it would have been great for Cody and those guys to finish podium, but they were true underdogs. The fact that they finished the race, didn't have any problems on pit road, didn't have any, major wrecks. They spun one time and it wasn't major on the track. Kudos to them, and to all the naysayers out there. They proved you wrong. So yeah, you'll read a little bit about that at Kicking and going forward. But that's pretty much the gist of what I took away from the IMSA race this weekend.
Daniel, have you ever wanted to do something like IMSA where you have multiple classes racing at the same time like that?
Definitely wanted to do something like that. The longer races is kind of cool because I think that's kind of something I'm good at even now. Longer races, and still being there as far as mentally and physically goes towards the end. I actually wanted to do it on iRacing, but I ended up going to Showtime Speedway around Tampa the night that they had the special event. Yeah, I definitely want to. Actually, Ben Kennedy Racing was when it was a thing connected to Spirit of Daytona Racing. So I talked to those guys a lot. I don't know if they ever won the Rolex. I know they won some other big IMSA races. They ran prototypes. And I know they did pretty good there, but that sparked my interest a little bit more. And my dad always has a suite for the Rolex. So I go out there and I watch it, and I really enjoy it because it's a whole different skill set. Like seeing guys like Austin and Cody does a little bit more, and Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch last year, these oval guys, like you can, when the question of best race car driver in the world comes up, like you put Lewis Hamilton and Kyle Busch, like if you put them head to head, Lewis Hamilton's going to kick Kyle Busch's butt in an F1 car, but Kyle Busch is going to kick Lewis Hamilton's butt in a Cup car. Mm-hmm. So it's cool watching and experiencing a different skill set and seeing like guys that do the oval stuff try and do something against those guys.
Kyle's an interesting person. I make some fun of him for the iRacing stuff, but I really admire him, and I'm friends with him and Sam and see what they're going through. But you're right. There's a huge talent right there, and I've said that many times before. He is one of the most talented drivers we have in the Cup Series garage right now. So, Seth, you were going to say something just a second ago.
Yeah, Spirit of Daytona Racing did win their class in the 24 Hours of Daytona in 2002. I looked that up real quick.
I wasn't even alive yet.
Jerry, that means we're old.
Yeah, we're old.
That's okay. Oh, and by the way, I don't know how good of friends you are with Chris Knight, but he says I need to let you go. Because
I'm having fun. He just said that. Just tell these guys you gotta go. I've been looking at my phone. He's been texting me.
He knows that there's a topic coming up that you don't need to be involved in. Is why. So
Merry Christmas. What? Yeah. Oh, now you got me interested.
See?
I'm saying you can't get.
But
I just don't want it to. I don't want you to have any issues. These are my. These are this show is a reflection of me, and so I don't want it to rub off on anybody else.
The other issue I was going to say, as far as Rick Ware Racing is concerned, I want to say the balance of performance, the BOP, that the IMSA kind of missed it on their Ligier because the Orecas in the LMP2 class were far and away much faster than they were, unfortunately. It was just their specific chassis was just down on power or down on performance compared to the Orecas. And it's not something with the engine or the setup, it's something with the rules. Because IMSA tries to keep everyone in the same class, at least within a certain number, and it felt like they were just off that number.
Interesting. I said, I know that when for everything that with Cody and what they not only what he has gone through, but to find out what he found out right before the green flag started and to make it through that event. I mean, I don't know. How would y'all have reacted if you'd gotten that type of a news right before the green flag goes for one of the biggest races that you're going to race in this year? You know, I do know that he's going to race Foolish Time Cup, you know, with his dad's team, and his dad was there, man. I mean, like coming around to take the white flag, you know, Cody said he had tears in his eyes and he got to celebrate with his dad because they'd always wanted to make that race. And it was the first time they were able to make it happen. You know, last year, I think they wrecked out and it didn't happen. So
they wrecked out in testing.
Stuff. Yeah. Testing.
Yeah.
He never got to take the green flag. That's what he was saying.
Speaking of IndyCar stuff, like you said, he's going to run a little bit of IndyCar. And they also announced former F1 driver Roman Grosjean will be running the road courses, street courses, and possibly Gateway for the Rick Ware Racing with Dale Coyne Racing team.
Yeah, and that's actually the response that I replied to with a certain Yahoo reporter. But it's all encompassing. When you know, Rick Ware is a great guy in my opinion. I like him. His wife is amazing. She's from Texas, by the way, just in case you wonder, she's like right up the road from where I live. So we Texans stick together. So, but it's good to see them get that finish. Matt, you've got some news, I believe, with some Cup stuff happening.
Yeah, so today 2311 Racing announced that Ty Dillon was going to race in the Clash next Tuesday, and that's all coming from Bubba Wallace not being eligible to compete in that event. So Ty Dillon's going to race for 2311 next Tuesday, and the reason why he is eligible is because he did win a stage last year. So it'll be really cool to see what Ty Dillon does. We don't know what 2311 is going to look like on the track yet, but we assume it's going to be really competitive. So to see him in a competitive car on the road course and stuff, it's going to be really cool.
Excellent. You know, we've had some press conferences this week, a lot of Zoom calls with NASCAR and different people. Yesterday we had Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, did a press conference with Daniel Suarez and the Trackhouse Racing Group and you know, Justin and all that. It was a very interesting presser because I couldn't get in at first. There were too many people on the call for me to get on it at first, and I was finally able to. I think maybe somebody got booted or they got bored and left, but was able to get in there for some of that. That was really cool. Really cool to see Pitbull interact and be involved. I haven't seen any other celebrities come out and actually do a Zoom yet about any teams that they might be in, and taking a definite shot there at 2311 because why hadn't Michael Jordan come on and talk to us? When am I gonna get to see MJ? You know, I want to guess, why did he want to get into racing? You know, why did Pitbull want to get into racing? He wants to spread his message. And he wants to, he's serious about diversity. He's serious about education. So it was really neat. And, you know, we'll probably have something, if you hadn't read it somewhere else, we'll probably have something on that coming up as well. So that was, we've had a lot, man. It's a busy week. We've got press conferences tomorrow and all next week as well, you know, leading up all the way up to next weekend's Daytona 500. And by the way, DraftKings now has on their app, you can go look. You can reserve your spot for all the races coming up if you want to do anything with DraftKings. I talked to their PR guy yesterday, as a matter of fact. So that was kind of interesting. I was curious why they didn't have any lineups or anything, but now they at least have, you know, information showing that they're still an official sponsor of the sport. Justin, tell us about Supercross. How's Jet doing?
Jet, so far, no official word yet, but yeah, like you said, he did take a pretty hard fall Tuesday in his heat race. He went on to the LCQ and won his LCQ race, so it moved him into the main event. But as they went up to the gate to probably about a minute before they were about ready to take the green flag or the gate drop, he just backed out and had some pretty severe shoulder pain. So kind of sucks for him because he's third in the points, kind of right behind Colt Nichols and Christian Craig. That gave Michael Mosiman the opportunity to take the whole shot. He led a few of the opening laps, got tangled up with one lapped rider who made a mistake right in front of him, just nowhere for Mosiman to go, and Nichols was able to get around and take the lead and eventually the win. So he'll be taking the red plate again to this Saturday's race, the third race at Indy. And that moved Michael Mosiman up into third in the points. So with Christian Craig sitting there in second. So we don't know word quite yet on if Lawrence is going to be racing in this round 6 coming up this Saturday night. Hopefully he will be, and hopefully it's nothing too serious. But like we saw earlier this year with Chase Sexton in the 450 class, he ended up missing a few rounds. So we'll see later on to see what happens with any kind of announcements from the team or through Jet over the next couple days. And then for 450, Ken Roczen is just on an absolute mission, and everyone else is kind of a little bit inconsistent. Some of the riders finishing great, some of the riders not finishing so great, and but Ken Roczen just kind of the one to beat this year early on. Already had probably 2 other races get away from him, and just couldn't quite seal the deal. But he's able to go back to back, win the first 2 rounds of Indianapolis, and now has I think about a 14-point lead over the rest of the field. So he's doing pretty good for himself. Justin Barcia finishing in second, so pretty good podium finish for him after he won the opening round to rebound and have a good run there as well. So But yeah, this will be a pretty interesting season, and if Roczen can keep it up, I feel like Roczen has really kind of flipped the switch. He's not really an aggressive rider. He's a lot more timid. He's a lot more passive, and kind of just lets the race come to him. But you kind of noticed a huge change with how aggressive he's gotten with his block passes, and then just charging through the field if he's kind of stuck a little bit further back from a poor start or something like that. So I think that's really all he's needed all along, and he may be the championship favorite as we come up halfway through the season.
Yeah, you're a little biased because doesn't your uncle work with him or something?
No, that's Jet Lawrence. But
that's Jet. Oh, Jet, your uncle. Okay, your uncle works with Jet. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. So I knew your uncle was big time in Supercross, so that was and working with those guys. So
yep.
But I actually am biased. I actually like Ken Roczen. I thought it was pretty cool. So
yep. Osho giving some good training to Jet Lawrence. And then my dad actually knew one of the mechanics on Ken Roczen's team from last year before he passed away. He used to do a lot of stuff out here at CRC, Glen Helen, Paris, Edwards Air Force Base, through what we used to call Day in the Dirt. Used to be an annual documentary they used to do at all these different tracks out here. It was a lot of fun because you got to see a lot of the bigger names during one of the off weekend races of the year in motocross, and they would come out and do that huge film festival kind of thing, and it was a lot of fun to see some familiar faces. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how small that world gets.
Well, there is some news that I kind of responded to on Twitter earlier, and it's what some people. Basically, I have a report on Mike Seneca. And Mike Seneca's a racer in NASCAR. I don't know exactly if he's cleared or not to race much anymore. I think the only thing he may have been cleared for a couple years ago was Martinsville. I'll have to go back and double check. I haven't reached out to Mike yet, so I'm just going to report on what the public records are that I've been able to uncover. And that is there's some tax liens are behind. He's behind on his taxes, on his property taxes and things of that nature. But then there was a tax lien for $204,000 that I was able to find. So it's interesting because I see on his Twitter account where he posted a picture of an airplane. It said he teased it like it was going to be his airplane like he bought it. Like I said, I haven't reached out to Mike Seneca about this yet, but definitely there's some people asking me questions and trying to find out more about the public records that are out there and that I've been able to uncover. So we'll have more on that looking forward. That's what we were trying to protect you from, Daniel. You know, we didn't want you to get involved in any of the negative news you have to do as a journalist. So I'll wrap that up. You tell us, what are you looking forward to going into the 2021 season?
Just all the racing we're fixing to do. We'll run 9 races over the next 10 days, starting Friday. And that's a lot of racing. That's really like 3 months of racing in just a week and a half. And for a young guy like me who doesn't get to race all the time, it's good. Like without a lot of experience, I mean, it's good to do stuff like this. So I'm really looking forward to it. We've got some new equipment we're looking forward to. It's going to be a good bit of probably a little bit of a learning curve to begin the week, and hopefully be doing pretty good by the end of the week. Hopefully start out pretty good. But yeah, we're going to travel to some cool places, get to go to Iowa, going to go to Milwaukee. That's a pretty cool place. I know they didn't race there for a good little bit. So I actually found myself, I liked a page called Save the Milwaukee Mile. And so that was pretty cool that now we're racing there, Dover, and I get to race at some of these cool places I watched races at as a little kid on TV. So, looking forward to that. Hopefully get a few checkered flags this year. And I want that big ARCA East champion flag, in Bristol I think that's September. Hopefully that's hanging out the driver's side. That's my main goal this year is I want to be an ARCA champion.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Matt, you got anything to say before we wrap this thing up tonight? Any news your way?
No, I covered the 2311 racing. I've also been watching the press conferences and stuff. I know Brad Keselowski I was reading through some of the transcripts the other day, and I know Brad's been around a long time and stuff, but I'm just still like comparing him to some of the other drivers and stuff. It's just, he's so eloquent when he speaks and so explains everything so well and clear. I thought it was interesting how people were asking him because Brad's been involved in a bunch of wrecks in Daytona 500, and it's one thing his teammate Joey Logano has up on him. So just seeing Brad, his determination going into this year was really interesting on that call, and feel like he's got a good shot, just as good as everyone else really. But I thought that was a cool thing that came out of his press conference.
One thing I found out, I was going through Twitter today, and Tom Roberts, for those that have been around forever, TRPR used to be the email that you would get from Miller Lite. Tom Roberts was the Miller Lite guy, and apparently after 500 and some odd races, or maybe even more, Miller Lite's not on the car. They're going to put Keystone on the car. I don't know if anybody else has heard that.
It's another Molson Coors brand, so they're just swapping out Miller Lite with Keystone.
That's interesting because I think Miller has always been on the car in some form or fashion, whether it be Light or Miller or Genuine Draft through the years.
I think going back to 89 or 90. So,
like I said, I learned that looking through Tom Roberts' Twitter timeline today. Christian, what anything other than we talked to Daniel all night. So anything else in ARCA we need to work on or look at real quick?
We'll have the ARCA preview out next week. The main ARCA Menard series will be racing at Daytona next Saturday with the Xfinity series. We'll have that out next week. I'm working on a piece with a driver that tested at Daytona. But other than that, we've got the East race on Monday, and that's what we've been kind of putting our focus on this week.
Seth, what about you?
Finishing up the recap of the FTF 500 for the site, which I should have up sometime tomorrow. Other than that, working on trying to get a few people on the show at some point, whether it's one of Daniel's competitors, Raja, or maybe even some of the Coke Series drivers.
Well, excellent. And Justin, obviously, we know that you're going to keep us in touch with what's going on with Supercross. I am worried a little bit about Jet because I saw that crash. It looks horrendous. I was at Supercross in Houston last week, and the crash and the whoops was bad enough. The face plant that Jet took was pretty vicious.
Yeah, so we'll keep a close eye on that. Just be sure to follow kickingtires.net at our website or across all our social media. If there is an update, I'll definitely do my best to get you guys all the latest news and info that I have from all of that. Hopefully he will be racing, and then we'll go from there. But this next race will be I think it'll be after this next race will be 3 left for the East Series for the 250 class. So not a lot of time for Jet to make up that ground. So we'll see what happens.
Well, excellent. Well, I'm going to close it out, except Chris Knight will have breaking ARCA news on Monday. I don't know what it is. He's teasing it, but he says breaking ARCA news on Monday. So
announce a new winner. That's hopefully what that is.
Is that what we're going to announce Daniel as the winner? Is that what? Okay.
I hope that's what it is.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week as always with the Kicking Show. Remember, you can follow us at Twitter. Check the subscribe button on YouTube. We really need more subscribers. We got to get up to 1,000 guys. So if you're watching, and I know those numbers are up there because I've been looking at it through my phone. Just hit the subscribe. I don't care if you follow the reminders or not. You can always watch the show at a later time. You don't have to join us live. We put the show out there, but we definitely need your support, and we appreciate you tuning in every week. That's going to do it here for us on the Kicking Show.